People are be pissed.
Hey everyone, it's John Trent from Bounty in the Comics. I'm here with my co-hosts Jorge Arenas and Drew Taylor. It's good to be with you all tonight. What's happening, guys?
What up?
How you doing?
Just having a good night.
Mm-hmm.
You get to see that camel from the Geico. It's hump day.
Yeah, like you know what day it is.
I was told at work I'm not allowed to use that meme anymore.
No. Hey everyone. Hey Mark. Hey U.S. Dutch Kitty. How are you guys doing today?
Wow, Dutch Kitty.
So there's a ton of stuff happening today in the past couple days. What was that?
Today.
I can't hear you over Drew's typing. His keyboard is like super, super loud.
I know, man. I have like the loudest keyboard known to man, and it's great.
Like aggressive. Holy crap!
I know. I love it. It's mechanical.
I'm gonna get a restraining order on your keyboard. But I was telling John, like, what are we starting with today, man?
Let's start off with our headline here. Let's talk about Pete Buttigieg, U.S. presidential candidate for the Democrat Party. He decided to do.
Now it closes at 10 to 10.
He decided to do an interview with TMZ where they asked him about these insane rumors about Marvel Studios race swapping Magneto and Professor X. And it's just so. I mean, first off, I think these rumors are just absurd. I think it was started by some Instagram page. I wasn't even going to cover it because I just thought it was just like, all right, but when still crazy. But it went viral.
When you see the stuff he said, though, it's like, are you serious? He said, I don't see these roles being for white people. Like, are you kidding me? What?
Yeah.
What got
me? So TMZ asked him what he thought about the recent rumors regarding Magneto and Professor X, and about how he feels about diversity and inclusion in stories when the roles are usually a traditional white role. And then so he responded, and what you're saying, Drew, he said, "I don't think there's anything about the role that makes it white. Look, certainly the actors who portrayed Magneto and Professor X in the past were brilliant, but it's not because they were white, and it doesn't have to be them forever." And then he would make this broad statement. He was like, "Look, one of the beauties of making comic books into movies is you can reimagine them constantly, and there is nothing intrinsically white about any of those character roles." So before we get into anything else, you guys want to just address these first three sentences that he has here?
Hey,
I want to let Mayor Pete know. Hey, look, dude, Magneto's gonna nuke you, bro.
No, you know what? If that's the case, I agree with Pete. If we can get ourselves a nice albino Black Panther.
It's just I mean, it's such a he's running for president. He should have just I don't know. The question is just absurd on the hand that you're asking a presidential candidate this, but then at the same time, it's just our presidential candidates are basically reality TV stars now. So it's actually a legit question because that's how we're judging presidential candidates. But I mean, his answer is it's just so typical left-wing SJW NPC that you see all the time. I mean, we saw this for, what was that woman's name in The Independent? Katie Roberts or whatever. She said that their whole goal is to make sure that pale, male, and stale characters are erased.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's It's crazy, and I mean, the funny thing is it's most of those people running for president are all like they're doubling down on crazy. They're happy to see this, and the entertainment industry is working hand in hand to make sure that they're all kosher with it because they want to be on the right side of history. Oh my God.
Yeah, well, I want to so I know there's obvious you can get into Magneto's history and everything, but I wanted to actually go with this like general comment he made. Look, one of the beauties of making comic books into movies is you can reimagine them constantly, and there is nothing intrinsically white about any of those character roles. So I like what you were saying, Jorge. Like that means like there's nothing intrinsically black about any black characters. There's nothing intrinsically Chinese about any Chinese characters. There's nothing intrinsically like all characters are basically can be changed. There's nothing intrinsic to them, and they can just be reimagined. Whatever someone wants to do, like that's absolutely complete garbage, and it completely doesn't understand anything about like characters, mythology, or storytelling.
But it completely negates a lot of the characters' origins and motivations. I mean, am I right, guys? I mean, without Black Panther's Africanness, his African nationalism is a huge part of the character's backstory.
Right, exactly.
Luke Cage and his African American heritage, how he feels about how it literally builds upon him as a person, especially we saw in the TV show with the 2 seasons of Luke Cage and the Defenders. You can say the same thing about a whole number of other characters. Kung Fu Master, for example, are we saying that he's not going to be Chinese anymore? I mean, that's just really a really odd statement, and just shows that he wanted to talk about a subject he had very little knowledge about.
Yeah. I was just gonna acknowledge that there, John. I was gonna say, what up, Don?
Oh yeah. I'm gonna see if he wants to get on the stream here. I'm gonna ask him.
Doctor Dutch Kitty, what up? But
my question to you guys, I mean, if that's the case, let's see us a ginger Black Panther, right?
Give me an Asian Panther, man. Come on.
I could not imagine Blade other than black, to be honest with you.
I seriously, yeah.
As a huge fan of that character, it would be a complete atrocity for Blade to be anything but black. But apparently, other people think differently who are running for president.
No, man, dude, it's just leftists that think differently. They don't think in a common sense manner. It's like you can sit there and talk to them till you're blue in the face and know that you're making perfect sense, but they don't even understand perfect sense.
Well, I wonder if this applies to gender roles as well. Is Spider-Woman going to be a dude now?
Of course. They would love that to happen.
James Drew instead of Jessica Drew. I would love to see that response.
Well, see, it can't work that way. It's not allowed. It's only allowed to go the one way. You can only turn like men into women. You can't do it the opposite.
Well, of course, and that was what I was alluding to. I mean, you won't see that the change anything other than white characters. And again, that's beyond lazy, and it shows absolutely no respect for fans who enjoy these characters. I mean, if you really want to put the work behind making new characters, then do so. But
yeah,
go around and just flip the coin like that is dumb.
I go back and forth with people on this. It's because we were talking about we're going to get to the BST stuff in a minute, but just to allude to that to a second, to just bring the character aspect into focus. That was one of the very few times when they did the reimagined BSG universe and did that series, the Ron Moore series, when they gender swapped and race swapped Boomer and gender swap Starbuck and people like that. It was doable because there was only one season of original Battlestar as it was, so there wasn't a whole lot of backstory or depth to the original characters other than, the initial sort of over the top in your face part that you remember about them, but there was never any real origin to them or anything like that, other than the fact like Apollo was Adama's son, and they kept that in there. So that was one of the few instances I've ever seen where, swapping characters can work. But it's very few times that happens. Characters usually have an established depth and backstory and identity. And I mean, people should understand that. But it's just like, everybody's like, oh, gender swap this, race swap this. And it doesn't always work.
I think some of the things that I've seen online, the obvious argument is the Magneto argument. But then people forget about some of the characters that have already been established as people of color. So by making Storm and by making Magneto and Professor Xavier people of color, you kind of take away the thunder from Storm, and you take away the thunder from like the blue people, Nightcrawler and Mystique.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and then a lot of people are waiting for that character to really come into her own. I just read a comic book where Storm is like leading Krakoa, and it's something that, the character of Storm is such a powerful character. You want to steal her thunder by making the white guy black.
Yeah, that's something that Eric July, shout out to Eric July, Young Ripa, he talks about that a lot, and it's he hammers that point home over and over again, and it's a solid point. I mean, he definitely what he's saying is that it's like he I think he says sloppy seconds is how he refers to it, and he's right. There's so many awesome black characters, Asian characters, any kind of diverse characters you want that Marvel has. Like you mentioned, Storm. They've got Bishop. I mean, we're gonna get Blade here.
Misty Knight.
Yeah, Misty Knight. We Luke Cage. Obviously, those are on Netflix. But I mean, there's a lot of like really freaking cool, diverse characters that Marvel has, and they're just kind of like, nah, we might do this race swap thing, and it's just like, dude, like I want to see more. I want to see Bishop. I want to see Storm. I want to see those guys. Those are cool characters.
I know, man. I was a Storm fan. Storm's one of my favorite X-Men of all time, and same. I always like Bishop.
Yeah, I know Philip. I know he's not with us right now, but he's definitely a huge Bishop fan, and he thinks he definitely isn't afraid to call Marvel out for doing him dirty with the with that, like going crazy, being possessed by the demon bear.
Yeah, I mean, they get stupid with the stuff now. I mean, and that's why. I mean, you guys know far better than me, because I mean, this is our specialty on the site, and you guys are right on top of this. You know how bad it is in the industry. This is why the industry's plunging right now. This is why manga's outselling regular books.
Yes,
magnet. That's why. I mean, you're right.
Yeah, nobody wants to.
And comics are just rehashing the same thing over and over again and saying, hey, well, let's just swap the tone of the character skin and something new.
People are sick of woke, man.
So I know that I think you and I'm gonna directly say you, Don, but I think you and Philip you seem to be digging the new X-Men stuff that Hickman's doing. So there is some good stuff coming out of comics, but I think you guys are hitting on the right point. I just saw I didn't look into it, but I saw a headline that said comic sales are down 6% for the year right now, and that's coming off of a down year. So that's obviously not good, but it does seem like there's some good things happening with the X-Men under Hickman. Is that right, Don?
Yeah, I'm not. So I haven't looked at the figures for the sales. I don't know. Like, does it bring it down to like?
But you're liking the
titles?
story though, right?
Huh?
Oh, I'm not worried about the sales for the X-Men. But you're enjoying the story. You think it's a good story.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah. Every Wednesday, I guess House of X is one of the trending things that's coming up, and it's because Hickman's making the X-Men uncanny again, and it's bizarre, and it's like watching Lost when it was good, like the first 2 seasons, where you have 2 questions answered, but you have 5 more at the end of the series, and you just like you go through every week and you want to figure out what's going on. He was able to make some of the characters from Bendis's horrible run of X-Men a few years back. Like he made Golden Ball relevant. He made Eva Bell relevant. And he happened to make Hope Summers somewhat relevant to the storyline as well. So, and I just spoilers for House of X. I just saw Professor Xavier shake hands with Apocalypse. So that's why I was tweeting, holy shit, because it was just, am I allowed to swear on this thing? Anyway,
no.
So yeah.
Let's try and keep the swearing to a minimum. YouTube will shorten our leash.
Yeah. But yeah, I was just stunned. I still have like hair standing on my arm because I know that whatever Hickman is doing right now, that's gonna be the continuity for the X-Men going forward. It's not just a one-off title. It's something that's going to continue to Dawn of X, which is coming out later October.
Hell, they need to have something. They need to have something good, at least in the comic books, because it's got something good has to be going on in the books because the MCU is going to suck. So,
I don't know. I still think there's some cool stuff going on with Doctor Strange. That looks interesting. You just did a story on that with Scarlet Witch. I think there's some cool stuff going on there. But yeah, I think for the most part, what we're seeing is there's definitely a good reason to have a healthy skepticism. So let's kind of get back to Pete here because he had some other things to say, and this leads me to believe that he has no idea what he was talking about, and he was just literally just talking out of his butt and not really knowing anything about Magneto or Professor X.
Are you making a pun on his last name?
Yeah. I was trying not to, but he
ought to just drop out, man. To be honest, man, the guy's not gonna. He's not even gonna sniff being in the final 2.
So he says after he said that there's nothing intrinsically white about any of the character roles concerning Magneto and Professor X. He would then go to say, whether we are talking about James Bond or whether we are talking about comic books, it makes sense for the portrayal of these characters to reflect the amazing cultural diversity of the country, our country, producing these films. And then he says, I just care about whether it's going to be good. I believe they're up to that in producing a new film and would love to see that kind of diversity. So I think he has no idea what he's talking about with like Magneto and Professor X because he randomly transitions to like James Bond. So I think he's probably only seen those like James Bond headlines where they're talking about making James Bond a woman or making James Bond black too.
I mean, obviously he as you were saying, he saw James Bond and the headlines related to James Bond and had to pivot to that because he had no idea what he was talking about then. So it's great to see that he's such a connoisseur of film.
Oh man, Script Doctor, you are clutch, bro. That is a good response right there. Heroes aren't meant to reflect society. They're meant to inspire society. Dude, you are 100%. 100%.
Exactly. Isn't that the point of, I don't know, Superman? right? And the DC,
Yeah, man, that's the point of superheroes in general.
the echo our ethos and mythos or whatever it's called, right? They're supposed to help guide us to what we could be, what we want to be, what we want to achieve, not be exactly a reflection of society. God forbid if we do that, then superheroes are going to be full of opioids and drunk half the time.
So I don't want to get I don't want to get a little too technical here, but he also says like he talks about our country producing these films. Hollywood is bankrolled a lot by China, so maybe he's making a point there that I could probably agree with him there. Let's get the United States back to producing our own films instead of relying on foreign powers doing it. But
yeah, but you realize, dude, you just gave him too much credit because he totally like said that coincidentally. He just, oh man, this dude does not know anything about films, probably.
Oh, I
can play devil's advocate and be like, okay, if they want to make an Otherworld's X-Men where they race swap Professor X and Magneto, that's fine, but just don't make it part of the real continuity of the films that are going to make. Because you know when they went off script in the Game of Thrones TV show where they didn't have any more books to pull from.
The whole last 2 seasons. Yeah.
Essentially, that's what they're going to be doing if they race swap for Professor Xavier and Magneto. It's going to be a train wreck because they don't have any historical source material to pull from.
No, I think you're diagnosing a problem with Hollywood in general. I mean, there's not a lot. I mean, so not a lot of these big films or anything. They rely on source material almost 100%. There's nothing kind of like original coming out. I know a lot of people say like that. From what I understand, there's a lot of original scripts that are like repurposed into the franchises. But I mean, aside from even when there are fresh like ideas, they're usually like based on a book or a novel or something. It's not original screenplays for movies.
We saw this with the Hellraiser franchise where they repurposed a completely different script that didn't have Pinhead or any of the other Cenobites in it, just so that way I think it's a New Line or Dimension they can keep the franchise from Clive Barker. So you're absolutely right, man. This happens all of the time, and it's unfortunate because you can definitely tell in the movies when they just literally plop a character into the plot and it makes absolutely no sense or just doesn't flow right.
Yeah.
So Script Doctor says X-Men First Class started something pretty interesting, and they dropped the ball by not keeping the series in the 1960s. Yeah, I completely agree. I absolutely loved First Class. It's probably one of my favorite X-Men movies behind X2. I think it edges out Days of Future Past by a little bit. I'm sure Don is going to disagree with me on that one, but
see, I like
First Class was good.
I like First Class. I like First Class. I like the Days of Future Past both. But
I think that's why DC is doing these period pieces. I think that's why Wonder Woman is staying in the past, so they don't have to like do a commentary on like what's happening in the world today. It's a safer bet. But I really like that First Class, and I thought there was so much interesting stuff they could have done there. They really like opened that world up to a lot, and we could have explored a lot of we could have explored like Magneto forming his brotherhood, and then the X-Men kind of growing, and just like there were so many adventures we could have gotten there. Missed opportunity there.
Exactly. Different story arcs they could have covered. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Gambit's backstory along with Mr. Sinister could have been a series of movies, right? It's not that they didn't have a lack of ideas; they just had a lack of imagination within their own studio.
Well, I mean, I think what's his name came back. Singer came back, and they did Days of Future Past, and they jumped into the 80s or whatever. 70s or
then they
80s,
put
whatever it
more-
was.
Yeah, First Class really was the #1 movie because they utilized Hugh Jackman to like 2 minutes.
Yeah, he just had a cameo. It wasn't
Yeah.
a Wolverine centric film. I love that it had like I love those scenes with Magneto. So, oh man, they're so good. And then especially that one scene where Charles is like tapping into him and he's moving the satellite dish.
Mm.
Oh, that was so powerful. Where he has to like harness his like what does he tell him? Harness between rage and something else. Serenity and rage. Find that like center. And I don't know if anyone here has read like Wheel of Time, but that's kind of like the same thing that like Randall Thor has to do. He's got to find that like Zen spot. So I thought that was just like really, really cool. I like that scene a lot. So do you guys have any more comments about Mayor Pete and what he had to say about Magneto? So like let's get into like Magneto and why this is like absolute crap. I know it's probably pretty obvious to most people who have read a comic or read an X-Men comic or watched any of the movies. The first X-Men movie makes it very clear that Magneto is a Holocaust survivor. And then they explore that even further in First Class, where Schmidt, I think he was calling himself Schmidt at the time, right?
Yeah, Johann Schmidt.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He murders his mom in front of him after his dad had already been taken away. It's very apparent that they're in a concentration camp, and that's been an integral part of Magneto's backstory since pretty much Claremont took over with the X-Men back in like 1975, I think. Was that Giant X-Men #1 1975?
Or was it
I think that's where
68? No, or whatever. Okay.
You talking
Around
about
the
the
Silver
Chris
Age.
Claremont ones?
Yeah, I think wasn't Giant X-Men
That
#1
was 68, wasn't it?
68. Okay, I'm getting my dates mixed up then. I might, yeah. But like, so I looked up this, like he wrote a Magneto #0 story, and this was just after he had like been restored to like peak vitality and strength, and so his memories are like fresh in his head, and he's being flooded with these memories of him being in the Holocaust, and it's actually like right at the end of World War II. When the Allies are winning, and these memories, the Nazi soldiers are going through and like killing off all the prisoners to try and hide the evidence, and then he actually fights back and like tries to help free himself and some of the fellow prisoners, and it's just been a prime thing. Even in Cullen Bunn's Magneto run from 2014, he explores that part of Magneto's character too. It's part of his character. It's intrinsic to Magneto, and it's something you don't change because that is intrinsic to his character. That is who he is.
Yeah.
No matter what Mayor Pete has to say about it.
He even has the numbers on his arm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, and he shows that in the movie too. With you see that in both movies, in First Class and in the original X-Men with Ian McKellen.
He has the tattoo on his arm with the brand.
Yep.
Again, I mean that just shows that's another really critical part of the character, and it's not something that they should throw away.
Yeah. Man,
Yeah,
Mayor
I actually did some research and found out if there were any black Jews. And, well, there's black Jews, and there were black people living in Germany at the time. But the Gestapo just killed them. They didn't even take them to the camps because they felt that they called them a really racist term. But, yeah, they believed that they were just impure and not worthy of taking part in whatever the Third Reich was going on. So they have a chance at the camps. They just killed them.
No, I mean that happened a lot, especially on the Russian front.
Yeah.
We're gonna dive into some history here. No, like that. I mean, they were like they had like death squads both the Russians and the Germans did during World War II, where they would just they would just execute prisoners on both sides, because the Russians did it when they started coming forward too. It was ugly, but the Germans started it when they invaded, obviously. Yeah, I mean, they did that to all types of people. It wasn't just, it was all types of minorities or people they thought that were inferior to them.
Yeah.
Untermensch. What's Untermensch?
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think Mayor Pete's full of hot air, man. The thing. Actually, all the Democrats are full of hot air. Let's be real. The only one that makes a lick of sense in that whole crew is Tulsi Gabbard. She's the only one that makes any sense.
Oh, the cute one from Hawaii?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Don, don't give in. Don't give in just because she's a hottie.
I'm just making sure my girlfriend's not here.
No, I'm just saying, don't give in because she's a hottie.
No, but really, I would love to see someone actually talk about movies that made some sense. That would be refreshing in itself.
Mm-hmm.
So along with, they're not only trying to, or there seems to be a push with these rumors to change iconic characters like Magneto and X-Men. We're seeing a lot of this happening in just films in general. So they announced the Sony executive, I think, the Sony CEO,
that guy
made some waves today, and regarding the Princess Bride. So what did he say here? Let's find it. Let's find that quote. I think he said, okay. So the Sony Pictures CEO, Tony Vinciquerra, who has been he's been talking quite a bit because he's been talking about Spider-Man as well. But he said that he had been approached by several, quote, very famous people who want to do a remake of The Princess Bride. And boy, did he stir up a hornet's nest, and rightfully so. I
don't even think stirring up a hornet's nest properly describes it. It's like he kicked the hyenas and was surprised they all jumped on him.
Yeah, you just keep the hell away from that movie. You just keep off that movie. I mean, that's a timeless classic. Mess with The Princess Bride, man. Oh, no.
I mean, it's going to happen. They basically, Hollywood remakes everything. You know it's going to happen. Come on. If there's money in it, they're going to do it.
I'm waiting for them to remake Willow.
I think the only film that they can't remake or do a sequel of is Back to the Future, because the guy still owns it, and he's like put it in his will that you can't do a sequel or remake Back to the Future, and he's making sure that they'll never make Back to the Future again until he dies, and then he hopes that his estate makes sure that they can never make it.
Well,
are you talking about Robert Zemeckis, John?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah, I think that's who it is.
I think he put it in his estate paperwork to make it as difficult as possible for them to remake.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I think we did a story about that.
Nice.
Yeah, Jorge did the story about it like back in July, because Christopher Lloyd was like talking about making a new Back to the Future movie. Yeah, and it's like not happening.
I mean, I understand he needed some cash for his rent.
I'll be right back, boys.
We don't need another Back to the Future movie.
Yeah, if there's money to be made with Princess Bride, they're gonna do it. But luckily, I mean, people are just like absolutely like totally against this idea. We have Jamie Lee Curtis came out against it.
I was gonna say, John, it's wonderful because it reunited the entire country under one banner. No more Princess Bride.
Yeah, everyone like it's crazy. I'm actually like surprised. So this, I mean, it's almost the same argument. Like you want to remake this, and you want to change Magneto and Professor X. It's kind of the same thing. So let me see if I can find this the quote here. Okay, yeah, here it is. So Jamie Lee Curtis like responded to this article from Variety. She said, "Oh, really? Well, I married the six-fingered man. Obviously, why we have stayed together for 35 years. And there is only one, The Princess Bride, and it's William Goldman and Rob Reiners." And then she has a quote, "Life is pain, highness. Anyone who says differently is selling something." So she's just like, not happening. Not happening at all.
Well, I'm glad some people had some sense when it came to Princess Bride, because she's absolutely right. We don't have an Andre the Giant to be in the movie. We know that the cast was perfect for that movie. It was just the right time to make it, and I can't imagine. I don't even want to attempt to imagine who would fill in all those shoes, right? We don't have a Billy Crystal. Well, I mean, he's still around, but I doubt he'd reprise his role. I doubt you could find that type of talent today. Most people would shy away from it, and it'll turn into a woke fest anyway, where they'll try and put a ton of garbage messages in there. And we've already had kind of a sequel to Princess Bride with the Deadpool 2 recut with Fred Savage trapped by Wade. I think that's enough.
Yeah, so let's get. So, how do you say this guy's name? I'm totally gonna butcher his name.
Not even trying here. Sorry.
I know. I think Drew had his name earlier.
West or US. Drew, get back here! God dang it!
All right.
Carrie Elways. Is that how you say it?
Oh, Carrie Elways? What's he doing nowadays? Jeez.
Yeah,
so
he's
probably down for remake.
He said there's a shortage of perfect movies in this world. It would be a pity to damage this one. So he's like,
wow.
No.
Even kind of paraphrase a line from the movie for his statement, which is just great.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right, it's about to get serious up in here, boys. I got a cup of coffee.
Man.
I mean, they're right though. There's some things you just need to leave alone. Like, it's still a great movie. It's still rewatchable. You can still watch it. I mean, there's so many things like that.
There's a ton of stuff that's rewatchable.
Yeah. Oh, we got Philip in here in the chat. What's up, Philip?
Phil, get in here. No, but I completely agree. Bride is like one of
the we got a big panel about to happen.
Princess Bride is one of those movies that I will see at least once a year, right? And I have a short list of movies where I'm like, okay, it is October. I'm gonna watch Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow. I'm gonna watch Hocus Pocus. It is spring. I'm gonna watch The Princess Bride. I have my entire year set up, and I really don't need Hollywood to screw that up for me.
It's Christmas. You better be watching Die Hard.
Only
right. Exactly. Man.
But what they could do is create some original IP, and then we would watch that original IP.
That's too much work.
Instead of a remake.
You're asking.
Look at Don sitting over there, like he's a glamour man. Like, if we had an A team of the Bounding Into Comics staff, all right, Donald's playing Faith right there. That's Faith.
But man, so how many remakes we got going on just in 2019?
Are you talking about
sequels?
You're talking about them making the films? They're in the process of making them, or they already made them?
Like, okay, I'm trying to think of what's that new one with J-Lo, The Hustle.
Oh, Hustlers that just came out.
The Hustlers, yeah.
Wait, what is that a remake of?
Isn't that just a rehash of something?
I think it was a rehash of the movie's same name.
I was gonna say I didn't even see the original that it's based off of.
Well, they're remaking Dune. That's coming out. Supposed to come out next year. They finished filming that this year.
That should be a high crime in itself.
We're getting a new Suicide Squad. It's unclear if it's a reboot or a remake or a sequel.
Yeah,
I'm on the fence about that one.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. Charles is telling us Charlie's Angels. Mark is telling us Saved by the Bell. Come on, Drew. You know. Come on, Drew. You were just talking about it earlier.
Yes. All right. So are we segueing into BSG now? Because
hold on. We'll wait. Let's wait. Philip's giving us Home Alone. They're doing a Home Alone on the Disney. I think that's a Disney Plus movie, right?
Yeah.
I can't remember. Like you can't make. I'm sorry. You can't make Home Alone without Macaulay Culkin. If he's not, he has to be in it. Maybe he's a bank rob. Maybe he's part of the Wet Bandits now that he's grown up.
Hey, John.
No, he's got like a line of cocaine that he's got to finish on the table before he.
Hey, John, to answer your question, The Hustle is a remake of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
Yeah, it's
a remake of Bedtime Story.
It's a female version, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I remember that being like.
That's right. What's her name? One of the Marvel writers did that, I think.
A gender swap.
Yeah, it was. I think one of the Marvel writers was attached to that. Maybe I'm wrong. It's telling me Lorene Scafaria wrote the screenplay. That doesn't seem familiar to me.
Right, she copy pasted it.
From
Pretty
John
much.
to Jane. That was the extent of the writing for the most part. It was hard work though. She deserved an award.
Script Doctor is saying that there's a potential Starsky and Hutch TV series remake. Weren't they doing a what was that like? I think they eventually canned it, but they were doing some like they were gonna do some like woke version of the this old 80s superhero show, American Hero or something like that.
All American Hero. We wrote about that a few months ago with an Indian lady. And I think it's supposed to be coming out this fall. Or
no, I thought it got canceled. I thought they canceled it.
Oh my god, I didn't even know it premiered. Wonderful marketing.
No, like I think they don't. I don't think they picked up the pilot.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's.
I think it got dropped.
They dropped it like it was hot.
Oh no! It says here the Greatest American Hero reboot gets series order, January 25, 2018.
Wait, 2018. It's 2000.
That's a year ago. I know. Hold on, I'm trying to find it.
It probably went into the black hole of dead television shows.
Oh man, the Greatest
I think
American
pretty
Hero.
sure the reboot got canceled.
Development hell.
Yeah. Yeah, here it is. May 12, 2018. ABC passes on Great American Hero TV show reboot.
Oh, okay.
Oh, thank God.
Because they knew America was going to pass on it too, like a stool.
Yeah, Disney made the right decision there.
Yeah, well, it just didn't need to be remade.
What else is they just did? What is it? Isn't there like a Hawaii 5-0 TV show?
Yeah, with the guy from Hellboy.
Yeah. That's actually pretty decent, dude.
There's a remade Charmed. They did a remade Charmed on CW. Philip saying the remade Buffy. Yeah, that's coming out.
Well, don't forget they also got what was that? Oh my god, it was on the tip of my tongue. That they have another TV show that's coming out that they're remaking. Oh my god, I forgot it. Sorry.
Yeah, there's just I mean, just line them up. That's what they're gonna do. I mean, there's gonna be a new Transformers movie. They're rebooting Power Rangers again because Hasbro controls Power Rangers now. After Saban sold it back to them.
They tried. Remember, they tried
musical chairs of IP again.
I think there's going to be some stuff dropping on Monday. The what's this guy's name? I think Mikey Sutton, the guy who's been dropping of these like Marvel rumors. He said in his Facebook group that he's going to be dropping Power Rangers rumor on Monday. So I'm guessing that's going to be a reboot for the film. I didn't think the first one was that new live action with Elizabeth Banks wasn't bad. It was Power Rangers. I wasn't expecting anything like super good.
Well, I mean, it was pretty low.
As long as you're not expecting anything good, you
It's
will
Power
never be
Rangers.
disappointed.
They were fighting like guys named Putty Men. I mean, come on.
You don't see the philosophical implications behind the Putty Man, John. That talks about our hard workers in the third world.
Yeah, just wait. Every single film in 2025 is going to be a reboot film. Mark, they're rebooting Star Wars in 2022. Like that's already been announced. There's a new Star Wars film. It's probably going to be a reboot. I would not be surprised if they just redo A New Hope. Would not be surprised.
We already had that. That was the Force Awakens.
Yeah, well, this time they're actually going to just call it A New Hope and reshoot it scene for scene with CGI now.
Yeah, and Luke will be black.
No, Luke would be a black, strong woman from Wakanda.
Pretty much.
Wakanda is like a thriving nation, though. He's supposed to be like he's got to be poor and like destitute.
Not by the time people get to it.
According to like some of the like Twitter leftists, man, Wakanda is like a real thing. It's real.
I love those.
It is real. I can look at it in my comic books at any time I want.
That's what happens when you give sick people Twitter.
Yeah, see, Jeffrey Turner's with me here. I love the Power Rangers reboot, and even my stepdad, who wasn't a fan and always made fun of the original show, actually loved the reboot. See, it wasn't that bad. It's Power Rangers.
The most recent movie you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the most recent movie was pretty good, yeah.
Yeah.
Was it because of the Pink Ranger?
No, they just did a good job on the most recent movie.
No, it was Elizabeth Banks, man. Rita Repulsa.
Well, I mean, she's automatically. I mean, that wasn't really acting on her part, right? So I mean, not that hard.
But then I'm waiting.
Yeah, I will say that I think they could. U.S. Dutch Kitty says I like the reboot as well. I just wanted the suits and Zords redesigned, and they did a sequel. Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, Dutch Kitty. I wouldn't mind a new redesigned suits and Zords. You know what I would want though? I think they're developing this, but I would really love to see like a live action Gundam, man. I think there's a lot of I think there's a lot of potential for some actual like gritty war movies.
Did you not see Pacific Rim?
Set in like sci-fi and stuff? What's that?
Didn't you not see Pacific Rim?
Yeah, I saw Pacific Rim, and then that second sequel was horrible.
Yeah, I avoided that like it was the Black Death.
The sequel was just it was really bad.
Just pretend the sequel didn't happen. That's kind of like what I'm doing with Star Wars.
Yeah, the first one was so good.
It was. That's how you have to leave it. It was just one movie. That's it. Just like Highlander. Just ignore everything from the first movie.
Yeah, I'm right. I'm right with you there, Script Doctor. I think it might have something to do with Sunrise. I know they're coming out with some new anime films. I think at the end of this year they announced, and like I think this year is like the 40th anniversary of Gundam.
My God, it's been that long.
They just launched this mobile app where you with Gundams. I can't believe it took them that long to do that, but yeah, they got a Gundam mobile app now.
Akira's still on the back burner for Taika Waititi, though, right?
What's that with Gundam?
Akira?
Oh, I don't know. I think he might have dropped that.
Really?
I'm not sure. I think he dropped that because he has like a bunch of other stuff going on.
Dude, he's in like everything as like a voice actor. He's in the Mandalorian. He's going to be in the upcoming.
He directed an episode of The Mandalorian too, I believe.
Yeah, and then he's going to be in Suicide Squad, just recently announced.
He's going to die. He's going to get killed. He's got to be a throwaway character. That's what I'm thinking.
King Shark?
He's definitely not King Shark. King Shark is not a throwaway character.
Voice of King Shark.
I'm with Pratt. I'm with Philip here. How dare you compare Pacific Rim to any Gundam, except that goofy one with the tournament? That was trash. Like I mean I like Pacific Rim, but it's no Gundam. I mean, there's something iconic about my boy Char. I mean, that new I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna go on a Gundam tangent here, but there's the Unicorn Gundam one, man. That was a really good series. That was kind of like a sequel, I guess, in the Universal Century. But yeah, that was fun.
You guys can have your Gundam, but nothing's gonna come close to Robotech the Macross Saga.
Dude, man, don't be hating. Don't be getting down on Gundam.
Are we gonna have to throw down and have a huge disagreement here? Is this really gonna happen? Because, like, look, I'm all Robotech all day, man. I grew up on that. Robotech and Star Blazers is my stuff.
Throwing some Voltron in there, Scott.
Gundam will destroy Voltron.
Oh, are you crazy? There was actually 3 Voltrons. Bet you didn't know that.
There's lots of Gundams.
They ain't as cool as Vehicle Voltron and Lion Voltron.
What? Mark, are you kidding me? Zoe Quinn is redoing Robotech?
What?
Yeah, you
No.
insta-lose
Mark,
that.
Mark.
You insta-lose, Drew.
Dude,
Insta-lose.
it's triggering me, dude. Stop.
Oh, is that for IDW? It's gotta be. I'm not seeing this. I know she's doing the Addams Family with IDW. I didn't know she's doing Robotech. I'm not seeing any art. Oh, here we go. Harmony Gold renews Robotech license. July 6th.
Wait, she's doing Addams Family?
Yeah, she's doing an Addams Family comic at IDW.
Awesome. So Gomez Adams gonna be a beta. Cool.
I'm not seeing anything. Where's this story at? Mark? Where did you see that at?
Kidding. He was kidding.
Oh, he was kidding.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Pretty sure he was kidding.
You got me. I was like, I hadn't seen that yet. I would have seen that. I'm all over that.
I was just about to be triggered. I was like, man.
Oh, Mega Jetty's in the chat. How's it going, Mega Jetty?
Oh, what up, Mega Jetty?
Welcome to the party. So let's I know you want to talk about Battlestar. Let's talk about some Battlestar. You want to read that tweet that what's his name? The Mr. Robot guy, Mr. Robot creator put out?
Yeah, hold up here.
Which Mr. Robot creator?
Are you pulling it up?
Seth?
Are you?
You want me to pull it up? I'll pull it up. He's got a weird name. All these people got weird names. I can't pronounce them. It is Sam Esmail. Esmail? I don't know how to. So yeah, Sam Esmail is doing the new Battlestar Galactica series, and this is what he had to say about what it would be about. BSG fans, this will not be a remake of the amazing series. Hold on, my screen just went crazy. This will not be a remake of the amazing series Ron D. Moore launched, because why mess with perfection? Instead, we'll explore a new story within the mythology while staying true to the spirit of Battlestar. So say we all. That's what he had to say. I will be perfectly honest. I'm not a Battlestar expert. I think I watched like the Sci-Fi had like a some kind of like marathon on like last year, and I watched like the opening parts where the Cylons started attacking, and we had the chick in the red dress like was like seducing the guy.
You watched the mini series.
Okay, yeah.
That's the start of it. It starts off with the mini series because that came out in 2003, and that's what got people hyped for it. And then they immediately put an order in for for a series order for it after the miniseries did so well. And that started in 2004 and ran to 08. You know, God, I have all this stuff committed to memory. I was like over the moon for Battlestar. I was like friggin' super fan, dude. I think at the time I had like the third biggest site online for BSG behind sci-fi.com itself. There was a fan site called Ragnar Anchorage, and I was the third biggest one. I was we were called Galactica Actual for a while, and then we changed the site name to Pegasus Actual. So yeah, I've watched every episode of that series, same as Pratt says, about 3 times over. Every episode.
Yeah, that's Philip.
Yeah, I only watched the softcore clips from the show, so I don't know any of the plot. I just know the women were hot.
There's alien, or there's like machines that are called Cylons, right? That are trying to kill humans.
Well, yeah, there's a big difference in the lore and the mythos from this from the reboot universe compared to or reimagined universe, I should say, because it wasn't technically a reboot. It was they took some stuff and really changed it as far as like there really was no established deep lore as opposed to the original, because the original was basically done at the time in 1978 as a response to Star Wars. Let's be real. They wanted ABC needed something to compete with Star Wars and take advantage of the sci-fi craze, and so they came up with Battlestar, and it worked. But they canceled it early. People were ticked that it only ran 1 year, and then they tried to bring it back in 1980 and failed because they couldn't get most of the cast to come back.
So what are you thinking when he says that they're going to explore a new story within the mythology while staying true to the spirit of Battlestar?
That means that definitely tells me that they're going to do something within the the lore and the mythos of the 2004 series. So it's going to be in that sort of universe. But my question is, and oh God, see, this is where I really wish like I was well versed in YouTube, because I really want to make a video about this and explain how it could work and how it won't work. But to put it in a nutshell, basically the way it would work to me is if they would take and they couldn't obviously use the Galactica itself, but they could use another Battlestar. And
Did the Galactica get destroyed?
Well, no, in the
outdated, because I thought it was an outdated ship anyways.
It was an outdated ship, but it already had its own story, obviously. So if they don't want to interfere with that, they could just pick it up, in the general universe after the catastrophe on Caprica, the colonies where the Cylons nuked the colonies. You'd have one of the other Battlestars that escaped, and a different band of humans, and they establish a different colony somewhere far away or whatever, and it could show their trials getting there, and then their life on whatever planet they settle on, because if they're not gonna get in the way of it, that'd be about the only way they could make that work, unless they go into the earlier era, into the first Cylon War, which they touched on in the show, but they didn't explore fully. And I know somebody mentioned the Caprica series earlier in the chat. I don't think they're going to do anything with Caprica. This is definitely going to be either first Cylon War or the second Cylon War, the modern Galactica era.
So you don't think it's going to be a sequel?
No, I don't think it's going to be a sequel.
Okay.
It's definitely not going to be a sequel. The way that the Ron Moore show ended, they left it so that there really isn't a way you could do a sequel unless you just it would just be People of Earth. Yes, Don, you're right. Cylon females are. Cylon females are hot, man. I can honestly,
I think that's how they infiltrated.
I can honestly say
From what
I met the chick in the red dress. I met number 6, Trisha Helfer. I met her. I met the chick that played Starbuck, Katie Sackhoff. I met her too. They were together at a charity event, and if you guys want to know, they are as hot in person as they are in television. So I was just like, damn.
Philip says they're stupid hot.
Exactly. I will have to send you. I will have to show you guys a picture sometime that I took. I took a picture with them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, yeah, you got to share that.
Make sure my girlfriend's not around.
Exactly, Phil. Katie should have been Captain Marvel. They should have picked her. She would have been a perfect Carol Danvers, actually.
Missed opportunity.
Mm-hmm. But no, that's what I honestly think. I mean, that's my theory how it's going to work. If they're gonna actually make the show work and make it interesting, they'll do it in such a way they can just find that pocket of story in that universe, and there's plenty to work with. Even like with the first Cylon War stuff, there's plenty to work with because there's a lot of open-ended stuff with that game that for you guys that are BSG fans, I just
Deadlock, right?
I just got a key for the new DLC for Battlestar Galactica Deadlock. I am going to play it and review it, so be on the lookout for that. I will have that coming up in a couple weeks, but yeah, that game deals a lot with the first Cylon War stuff, and it's based in the Ron Moore universe, so there's a lot there that they can work with. So there's a ton. My only reasoning with why this won't work is the fact that it's 2019, and we know what all new shows are. They're always woke. And I don't think that this is going to be any different. I think it's just going to turn into a woke fest, unfortunately, because they can never not be preachy to the audience. They can never treat the audience like adults, and that's why it'll fail.
I think Scott here captures it perfectly. The term reimagined annoys me. It's usually the term reimagined is usually accompanied by reimagine for modern audiences, or for a modern, something modern is usually attached to reimagined. And it usually means we are going to race swap, gender swap, push a political agenda on the show.
Well, I think the reason the 2004 series worked in the miniseries and everything, it worked so well. We were just coming out of 9/11. It was a really interesting time for the country, and it was a show that provided a good social commentary. I mean, there were different times where a few of the episodes in some of the seasons got a little borderline like woke, I guess, by our standards now, like a little woke, little preachy, but honestly, it was really brilliant. And nobody's gonna, it's one of those things with that type of show that was just a perfect storm. Perfect casting, great soundtrack, perfect effects. I mean, it just you're never going to recapture that. That's why this is going to be incredibly hard for this series to do well. I mean, I'm super skeptical I'd love to see it do as good as the other one, but it's not going to.
So I think one of the other issues that this new show might have is that it's going to be on NBC's like new streaming service called Peacock. These people just don't even know what they're doing. Calling their streaming service Peacock. I get that's like their symbol with the NBC symbol, but I mean, I don't know. It doesn't inspire confidence in me as a brand name. But what do you think people are going to be willing to? I mean, they have The Office too. They're doing that Saved by the Bell reboot with like Mario Lopez, and apparently Zach Morris is like I don't know. I saw some headline he's like a governor or something. But like, what do you see that there's like that
So
could
they
be a
got all
problem?
the old crew back.
I don't know if it's everyone. I know Mario. I know Mario Lopez is definitely attached to it, and they were saying that the
Saved
guy.
by the Bell, yeah, they're getting. Oh God, they're getting. They're trying to get Mark Paul Gosselaar.
It looks like they're trying to do what they did with Full House on Netflix. Sort of looks.
I mean, people would probably watch that, dude, because people watch the Full House one.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, I think that teenagers today have zero interest in Saved by the Bell, which is kind of what that show was targeted towards when it aired. At least from anecdotal evidence.
I mean, I can't see. I'm interested to see like Tiffany Thiessen looking like a MILF, but like I don't know. I can't see. I can't
want to see that showgirls stuff going on.
I can't take Elizabeth Berkley seriously after seeing Showgirls, dude. I'm serious.
But what do you think Battlestar might be hurt by it being on an NBC streaming service?
Well, I mean, since NBC, we know from watching MSNBC, CNBC, everything like that, NBC is like the gatekeepers of wokeness. I would not be surprised if it hurts it a little bit from that aspect. That's why I think it's going to be a woke production. But other than that, I mean, it's one of those things that it's a crapshoot. I think streaming services are just all hurting themselves right now because everybody's tripping over everybody else trying to put out a streaming service, and eventually somebody's going to come along and just buy up some of these and consolidate them because that's the only way that streaming is going to succeed. I mean, all these separate streaming services for now are going to be a thing, but they're eventually going to have to consolidate because people aren't going to pay like what $10-15 a month for each of them.
What was the math on that one? If someone bought all the streaming services, they would have to pay like $145 a year or something like that.
I would think it'd be a month. Yeah. But that's pretty much what a cable bill is. So
yeah, that's the end of cable.
Yeah, and that doesn't even include like sports, which is huge. One of the reasons why cable is still, I think, around. I think that's why AT&T is really going with HBO Max because they're seeing all their subscriptions from DirecTV leaving. And one of the reasons why they are staying is because they have that NFL ticket package or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, and Dobbin just pretty much bottom lined it. He said the streaming war is going to be quick and dirty, and that's exactly what it's going to be. And when they come up with something, John, for sports, I mean, it's like you said, dude. It's going to be like one of those things where somebody's going to come along, probably Disney, and consolidate all this into one.
Yeah, well, they've already got a head start with their ESPN app, and and they can just integrate it with Disney Plus.
Yeah, that's part of my Disney Plus thing that they got going on in November.
Yeah, and they got like Discovery. They got like Nat Geo, not Discovery. They got Nat Geo and stuff. So they're pretty diversified. I would say they're probably set up the best outside of Netflix. The only thing I saw from the Peacock thing was Battlestar and Saved by the Bell, and they get
It's
The
not enough
Office,
pool.
which is like okay.
Battlestar alone, Battlestar will get looks from people. People will be interested, but it's not going to carry it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess Star Trek Discovery is seemingly carrying CBS right now, and I think that has more to do with the really good deal they made with Netflix than their subscriptions. But I can't really I don't see they don't share that information. But
I hate disco. I'm with Doomcock on that.
Yeah, Doomcock and Nerdrotic definitely have no love, and neither does Jorge for Discovery.
No. Yeah, I never will. I think it after what they did to Klingons, man, that was I declared war.
Mark asks, will CBS be the first to fall? I don't know. I think it's going to be DC Universe. I think DC Universe will probably get wrapped into HBO Max eventually. It just seems like it's redundant. Why would you be paying for? Because you're probably having separate servers to host all that content, so you can stream it. So,
well, HBO's got the money to bring back Swamp Thing, so
I feel like CBS is going to be one of the first ones.
Well, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I think they made a lot of money off of that Star Trek Discovery licensing deal. It sounded like they made bank off of that.
It depends how Picard goes.
Yeah, I think you're right there. If Picard's anything like what people react to with Discovery, it's not going to fare well.
Yeah, exactly, Dutch Kitty. It all depends on Picard, and the smart Star Trek fans are cautiously optimistic, but honestly lukewarm on Picard right now, and that's with only seeing the trailer that we saw, and I'll be honest, it's probably not going to be enough to bring Star Trek fans back to the franchise for the long haul. Same as this BSG, it's not going to hold BSG fans for the long haul.
So Script Doctor is saying there's a rumor that CBS burned up a lot of their money from their international Netflix deal.
I would be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of these, Warner Brothers, I think, was it Warner Brothers? Yeah, I think it's there's just a report in Forbes that Warner Brothers has like a ton. Warner Brothers and AT&T have like a ton of debt, and Disney is spending cash hand and fist for with Disney Plus, and they're taking because they canceled all their licensing deals, so they're not getting the money that they were getting from Netflix for their films. So yeah, I mean, I think they're putting a lot of capital into these streaming services. We'll see if they pay off. I mean, Netflix obviously still has tons of debt too, because they've just been trying to throw paint at a wall and see if it'll work.
Yeah, Dobbin, we've kept an eye on that situation here. I believe we had a couple articles about that up.
Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, we actually did an article about that today, so we can bring that up here. I know Gary talked about it on his Nerdrotic Nooner today. Let's see. Spencer did this story. It was a really good story.
Yeah, I just thought about something that the Star Trek cast could do to save a streaming service. And it's an old idea. I'm sure it's been passed around the tables. live action gargoyles.
Oh, I was gonna say.
I mean, that's hands down. The Star Trek cast is reuniting to take on like live roles, but then I realized, oh wait, that's a Walt Disney production.
Oh, I was.
I think the Gargoyles are going to be on Disney Plus, right? With X-Men animated series. Is that what I think I saw a headline like that?
Really?
I think so. I wasn't able to like really.
They're beta testing it in the Netherlands right now.
Yeah.
So
here you go. IGN reporting Gargoyles, Darkwing Duck, Rescue Rangers, and more coming to streaming service. Disney Plus.
Wow, Darkwing Duck. No.
DuckTales,
No.
Chip and Dale, Rescue Rangers, Tailspin, Darkwing Duck, Gargoyles, Goof Troop, Adventures of the Gummy Bears. All at Disney Plus. And Philip probably knows this more than anyone, but I thought I saw something about X-Men the animated series on Disney Plus too. I know we reported on the creators of the animated series were pitching a continuation of the series. Yeah, here's another IGN story. Disney Plus may have X-Men and Spider-Man animated series from the 90s. So
depends on which Spider-Man series. They can't have the Sony one, but they
there's a screenshot of the X-Men on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I saw that screenshot too.
So
the Netherlands one, right?
Yeah, and they have the Spider-Man too. There's a Spider-Man 1996.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy on Twitter said he's seen Spider-Woman from 1979, Spider-Man 1981, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends 1982, X-Men 92, Iron Man 94, Fantastic Four 94, Incredible Hulk 96, Silver Surfer 98, Spider-Man Unlimited 99, and then he posted this Spider-Man from 96, yeah. One season. But he thinks that it might only be for the Netherlands. But I don't understand. That doesn't make any sense to me if it would just be for the Netherlands, because there's no licensing problems which you have like with Discovery, unless they I don't understand why Disney would do that.
Right.
Unless they are planning on licensing those properties. If they're already available in the Netherlands, they're probably going to be available in the English because what they are in the stateside. Because what ends up happening is you see what happens with Star Trek Discovery, where they license it to Netflix internationally, and then make us here stateside in Canada and North America buy their CBS All Access. But if Disney's already got it abroad, I wouldn't see why they wouldn't also be here.
Yeah. No, we'll have to wait and see. But I mean, can't lie, man. Those are some solid additions.
So Script Doctor's asking, are these revivals or just back catalog? From what I'm understanding from the article, is back catalog.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean they're not going to potentially pursue new stuff. I mean, if they're seeing tons of people watching old school Gargoyles, all right, cool. People want Gargoyles. Let's make more. I mean, that's marketing 101.
Yeah.
But what we were going to talk about? Oh yeah, I think it was Dobbin who was asking about Disney and the SEC. What's it, Dobbin? Yeah, here it is, Dobbin. Yeah. So Dobbin was asking about this, the accounting fraud allegations against Disney. So here, let me do a screen share. So I won't be able to read comments for a little bit. Bear with me, guys. I need to get this set up so I have a second screen. All right, so here we go. Former Louisiana, this is a great photo. Former Louisiana Attorney General Charles
Put that on
Foti
my next cake.
launches investigation into accounting fraud allegations against Disney. It's so good. I mean, Mickey's reaction just tells you everything there. So, former Louisiana Attorney General Charles Foti has begun an investigation into the allegations brought against Disney by whistleblower Sandra Kuba, a former employee who claims that Disney falsely inflated revenue reports for 18 years. In August of 2019, Sandra Kuba, a former senior financial analyst for Disney, filed multiple reports with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, which described multiple methods used by Disney employees to exaggerate the company's revenue, such as claiming full revenue from complimentary golf games and discounting guest promotions and recording revenue from gift cards twice, once when a customer would purchase the gift card and again when it was used. Kuba claimed that she first reported these issues to management in 2013, but received no response, leading her to escalate the report to a senior executive in 2016, where her complaints were again ignored. Granted, the escalated reported warranted a single communication from Disney's corporate audit group before communication abruptly ended. After being ignored again, Kuba brought her concerns directly to the SEC in August 2017 and was fired from Disney a month later. So here's that kind of provides some context for you to what's going on. And if you want more context on that, we have another article up here. You can just click on it and you can really see what she had to say. Gives you a little bit more context. But then here's kind of the new stuff that kind of broke recently. So on September 9th, less than a month after Kuba's reports were received by the SEC, former Attorney General of Louisiana, Charles C. Foti Jr. of the law firm Kahn, Swick, and Foti, LLC, announced that he would be initiating an investigation into whether Disney's officers and or directors breached their fiduciary duties to Disney shareholders or otherwise violated state or federal laws. In August 2019, news media sources reported that a former Walt Disney Company senior financial analyst had filed a series of whistleblower tips with the SEC against the company, alleging that its employees had utilized a variety of schemes to systematically overstate revenue by billions of dollars, including 2008 to 2009 revenue possibly being overstated by up to $6 billion. The former employee also charged that company executives were unresponsive to her attempts to report the issues and that she was ultimately fired soon after she contacted the SEC regarding the matter in August 2017. KFS's, that's the law firm, investigation is focusing on whether Disney's officers and or directors breached their fiduciary duties to Disney shareholders or otherwise violated state or federal laws. So there was also, this was an interesting tidbit here. Following the announcement of the investigation, 2 former Disney employees publicly discussed their alleged experiences with Disney's fraudulent accounting practices. One employee described how one, quote, project was a complete disaster and they marketed it as profitable, but the employee notes that his knowledge regarding the topic is hearsay and they have zero proof of anything. Another employee who has since deleted the relevant tweet from their account stated that when I asked about certain monies being created that really didn't exist, well, let's just say I never got answers. And then here's you can see the data racer is super good at like finding all this stuff.
Yeah.
And he's got it. So you can like click in and look at that there. So then KFS is currently asking for assistance from the public and long-term Disney shareholders in their investigation and encouraging anyone with relevant information to contact them. So what I find really interesting about this is if these allegations are true, let me get back to you guys. If these allegations are true, that like makes me think that all the what's happening with like Star Wars Galaxy's Edge could be even worse than what Disney's actually reported in their financial report for Q3 and then in the phone call discussing it. It could be even worse than what we're thinking. if these alleged practices are still happening.
It probably is.
And I mean, obviously they got a ton of capital in Disney Plus, and they're really banking on it because I know they took a huge hit by not licensing to Netflix anymore, because I think Netflix was paying them crap ton for their movies. But anyway, so yeah, that's kind of what we got, Dobbin. Share with everyone else there too. I know we wanted to talk about. Do you want to talk about the Twitch streamer? I don't know how to say her name. Quqco.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Koku.
All right.
All right. It's like,
I don't know. Is she out from her Twitter ban now, or Twitch ban?
I think she got a 3-day suspension. I think it happened on.
Yeah, she got a 3-day.
So today's like
30?
the last day.
Yeah, today is probably the last day.
3-day.
Yeah.
Well,
but
fun, yeah.
So long story short, this streamer Quqco, and I'm sure some of you guys here in the chat, you guys watch Twitch, and I've streamed on Twitch before, and Twitch has a really vague TOS to begin with. Like when they changed their TOS around, it got really crazy vague now. And I remember at the time when they changed all the policy, they were all like patting themselves on the back and saying, make sure to hold us accountable, guys. Haha, wink, wink. And it's like, come on, man. They're gonna ban a chick for wearing a Chun-Li costume. I mean, I get that. Like maybe like when she stands up, okay, you get a little leg show, whatever. But I mean, it's not like she turned around and was showing, full blown rear end or anything like that. It's like, and she was definitely covered from the front. So
showed the.
I know from what I was seeing, a lot of the complaints that people were having was that she specifically adjusted her camera to a specific position where it focused in on a specific part of her body, and then not only did she do that, but she like placed her hand. She made a gesture with her hands to specifically bring attention to that part of the body, and that's what I saw. That's what a lot of people were kind of pointing to as to justify why she got the suspension.
I mean, she's been doing the research for that story. I mean, you could see she's been suspended before for doing the King of Fighters cosplay, and I mean, it's like, well, okay, where there's smoke, there's fire. She's been suspended once before. There might be legitimate reasons. She might push the envelope on her stream, which some do. But I've never watched this girl personally, so I can't tell you if she's achieved like full thought status, as they like to put on some of those girls, and some of those girls get that tag unfairly because some are actually pretty good streamers, and people just automatically assume oh, it's another Twitch thought, and it's not always the case. A lot of times, I mean, you can tell if you've got a discerning eye, you can pretty much tell which ones are the true Twitch thoughts and which ones are the actual oh, this is a good female streamer. She's not trying to be that way. But people they lump them in anymore because there's so many of them popping up. It's like left and right.
Yeah, so I actually think that what was really interesting is that so you have this from Twitch, which is owned by Amazon, But then you got Instagram on the other hand, where it did nothing for Amber Heard, despite it clearly violating their community guidelines, which says no nudity whatsoever. And I think this gets to the point that these companies, like you're saying, they have these vague guidelines and interpretations, so it doesn't really matter what the guidelines say. It has everything to do with who's enforcing them and not being consistent in their enforcement.
In Instagram's defense, though, Amber Heard looks like a man in that picture.
That picture, you know, looking at that picture, it is not a flattering picture of Amber.
No.
And she's normally arguably a smoke show, and that picture is like
smoldering.
That picture sucks.
I mean, I don't see I personally don't. I mean, I don't see the thing with Amber Heard. She's just I don't know. She's just not my type there. But I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, she's obviously nude. They say no nudity. They give you a couple exceptions with like breastfeeding. But I don't know. It doesn't look like they even like enforce their own guidelines. And you see that with Twitch too.
Well, I've got another story though, like that I'm working on. I actually
Well, let's hold off on that. We'll share that for tomorrow.
But yeah, if you think this is crazy, you know, and this is what we call a tease, boys. This is a tease. This is what we call it in the business. Like just wait till tomorrow, because the story that I got is crazy compared to the cosplayer getting banned.
Yeah, the story that you're talking, it truly is insane, and I think it gets to the point where it's like, what are we like? What are your guidelines on this stuff? And why are you enforcing it on different things? Like enforcing it differently? It's just crazy.
All I can say, John, is right now Twitch is asleep at the wheel, man. They really like Twitch as a company, like, you know, when they were just like Justin TV before they became Twitch, before they caught on, and before Amazon bought them, dude. You know, they're as clueless as they were back then. They don't have a really good staff.
Just wait till they build the headquarters here right outside DC, and they hire all the the political consultants to start writing their guidelines and enforcing them. Oh, it's gonna be even worse.
It's just, dude. I mean, how tone deaf can you be as a company? I mean, it's just a clown show anymore with Twitch, and that's why so many streamers are leaving, because nobody knows where they stand. Nobody knows, like, you know, what I can and can't do, and everything else. And frankly, when you're starting out as a streamer on there, Twitch is so saturated because everybody in their mother goes there to stream, so it's so saturated anyway. So you're starting out behind the 8 ball, and then if you manage to get to affiliate, which it's pretty easy to get to affiliate, okay, you're sitting there and you still got an uphill battle, because it's very hard to make any sort of money on there, because Amazon takes 50%. I mean, they are just ruthless, dude. They take
50%.
They take 50%. Flat out, they take 50% of your stuff, because if somebody like gives you like the virtual currency they have on their bits, so somebody cheers in your stream and gives you bits, Twitch takes 50% of that. If you get a sub, which is like $4.99, if somebody subs to you, they take $2.50 of that. You know, so it's like it's very hard to make money. The only way, truly, when you start to get a following, if people want to support you, is by like actually legitimately just giving you like donos is the best way. So for those of you that watch people on Twitch, if you really want to support a streamer, donate. That's the best way that you're going to help them, because they are not making anything off you giving them bits, and they are not making anything off your sub.
I didn't know that. That's good to know.
Yeah, so that's why another reason why a lot of streamers are leaving and going to Mixer. Mixer has a little bit better, structure as far as monetization.
So I'm gonna change topics quite drastically here because I just wanted to talk about this because I actually did a video on this earlier today from the house. So there's this new rumor. There's this new rumor that the new Star Wars movie is going to have a fleet of Death Stars. A fleet.
Dude, I think
so absurd.
I think that's a little hooey.
I mean,
are you sure you weren't reading the one about the fleet of Star Destroyers?
No,
yeah, that's clearly in the trailer.
Of Death Stars, fleet of Star Destroyers would not be a rumor. We saw that in the teaser trailer, but this was a fleet of Death Stars. A fleet. It's just absolutely crazy.
Bro, come on, man. I don't know.
I mean, it's so absurd that it's probably true. And it does explain why Rey and Kylo Ren are fighting on Death Star wreckage. Because those two Death Stars in the original trilogy, those things were blown into bits. There was no wreckage to be found.
Oh, jeez. Jeez, you're killing me, Smalls.
Yeah, so it's just so the Star Destroyers will have Death Star weapons. Yeah, might as well. Might as well. But this is just, it's so crazy. I just can't, like, who is writing this stuff? We saw Death Star 1, we saw Death Star 2 in Return of the Jedi. We saw Death Star 3 in Rogue One, which is really Death Star 1 blowing up. I got this wrong in the video. I was calling it Jakku. It's actually, oh my gosh, I just totally blanked on it again. They do 2 planets. The first one is Jeddah. They blow up the temple at Jeddah. And then the second one is Scarif. They nuke, or they Death Star Scarif. And and then you had Starkiller Base, which is basically a freaking Death Star clone. So we've seen 4 Death Stars in what are we at? 7 movies, 8 movies now. We're at 8 movies. So we've seen a Death Star in 10 movies if you Rogue One and Solo. So we've seen a Death Star in almost half of the Star Wars films. It's crazy. Like, there's other super weapons. This is what I talked about. I couldn't remember their names when I was doing the video specifically. But there's these planet destroyers or whatever that they have that have like these 3 beams, and it's from like a old school like Dark Horse comics. I said like 50%. Come on, script doctor. But yeah, it is 40%. And then there's these like mining. There's these mining drills that they introduced in these new comics at Marvel that they could also use too, that were used to basically take out planets. And my guess is that we might actually see something like that. That's what that red beam was in that last teaser we saw. But because that's just basically JJ taking his Star Trek weapon and repurposing it in Star Wars. Yeah, see. Well, it won't be. It'll probably be like 45 because it'll be 5 out of 11 or whatever, right? Because it won't be 5 out of 10. It'll be 5 out of 11.
So they got that laser beam shooting down to the planet. I don't think that's going to be a Death Star. That's not Death Star quality laser beaming.
Death Stars use green beams. That was a red beam. That's what I'm saying. I think that's literal. The red beam was a red beam in Star Trek, the reboot. with the Romulan mining ship. It was a red beam. It's literally what. And I think they have that's what they have in these new comics. There's like this mining weapon. But yeah, it's just so crazy. Like, so you have all these like cool things, and they can add and introduce that's already there to take. And we're getting rumors that there's a fleet of Death Stars somewhere out in the universe. And there are rumors that like Palpatine has an arsenal. Those rumors seem to be true, given that we saw that fleet of Star Destroyers in the trailer. But my guess is, like, I'm thinking that, we got a Star Forge going on out here somewhere, and they're already like, and Palpatine has the Star Forge or something, or it's like a Star Forge ripoff from KOTOR.
Oh, I hope not.
But all of those, I will say, all those Star Destroyers were like old school, like New Hope Star Destroyers in the trailer. So, I mean, maybe he was making them using the Star Forge back in the day.
So, Rise of Skywalker is supposed to be the last film for the Star Wars franchise, right?
No, it's the last Skywalker film. They've already announced. They've announced 3 more. 2022, 2024, and 2026 are the next ones. No titles. The first one is supposed to be from the Game of Thrones people, Benioff and Weiss, Dave and Dan.
Original IP from Dave and Dan. All right.
Flashback scene. Jorge's talking in the comments instead of on in the video here. I mean, maybe, I don't know, a flashback scene of a giant, like, flotilla of Star Destroyers. They were way too, like, neatly arrayed, too. I didn't like that. So that made me think that they're just, like, parked out there. Like, they're just being they're parked the way they were. It looked like, have you ever, like, you know what I'm talking about when you see before the cars are taken to, like, a dealership, they're all just, like, parked in, like, a parking lot? That's what it looked like.
Well, to me, it looked like a spaceship graveyard.
Or that too, yeah, spaceship graveyard. Like what we saw in Transformers, where the SR-71 was reactivated. That horrible Transformers movie.
Oh God!
No,
you got the touch,
Mark. That's what's going to happen. Holdo's Force Ghost is going to come back and destroy the Star Destroyers and the Death Stars. It's what's going to happen.
Oh, God.
It's what's going to happen right there. It's going to be horrible. It's going to be, her Force Ghost is going to be so crazy. She's going to be like jumping from like droid ship to droid ship, like launching them at the Star Destroyers.
She's gonna turn into a flying droidica.
She's become more powerful with the Force than Yoda when she did that move.
Jesus, man.
All right, well, I think that's kind of it. Unless there was anything else in the chat y'all wanted to talk about.
No. Not at this time. We could do this again soon.
Yeah, well, we appreciate everyone for joining us. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to listen to us. We really appreciate it. We have news stories up on the website every single day for the most part. I sometimes get a little lazy on Sundays, and I get stuff to do. Yeah, we do this every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. Philip is promising he will jump in with us next time, so that should be really fun. He is our resident X-Men expert, along with Don, a huge X-Men fans. What do you got there, Don? What is that?
That's the latest House of X.
Nice.
What is that? Who's that on the cover?
That is Doug Locke.
Oh, Doug Locke.
Douglas Ramsey with Warlock, the New Mutants. It's kind of like
is that a variant or is that a?
Yeah, it's a variant cover.
Okay, all right.
Real quick. I just want to say, chat. Thank you for, like John said, for coming in here, and I want to give a shout out to all my awesome colleagues, Phil there in the chat, and George and Don and John, man. Guys, with your support and following the site, I mean, you just continue to give all of us as writers confidence to keep putting out great content for you, and we do appreciate you. We really do. So thank you so much for supporting Bounding into Comics and sticking by us. And and I gotta say, these guys are super talented and blow me away. They're far more talented than I. They care. They
right
care.
back at you. I do. Okay, so we do have comments from Mark here in the chat. I will address this. I've been trying, like Gary and I have been trying to get it going. Just hasn't been able to work. But I did watch episode 2, and episode 1 was absolute garbage. You don't need to watch it. Just skip it because they just throw away the ending of the first season in the first half and then set up the second season. I liked episode 2 a lot more. There were some stuff that I wasn't a fan of. I like Jason. I liked how he gives. I like how he definitely has a different personality than Dick in the show, and they come at situations from a different angle. I like that. I think the chick who plays Raven is just like crushing it. I thought there was going to be some stuff going on where they were going to do a little more like behind Dick's back, and that didn't end up happening. So I was kind of surprised about that. I watched it a couple days ago, so I'm trying to remember it. I wasn't too keen on Dr. Light's outfit, but I think he's going to get a better costume in the. Get a better costume moving forward. And that was also something. It seemed like I don't know if they've like enhanced his powers somehow, but it looked like he was able to travel pretty quickly across the country. He was launching an attack against Dick in California, and then almost like instantaneous, like almost like, I don't know, less than 24 hours, he was launching an attack on in Wyoming, I think was where Hawk and Dove were. So I thought that was weird. I think they need to explain that a little bit. But yeah, for the most part, I mean, I enjoyed it. No, they changed her hair. Excuse me. So the reason why Starfire looked like a hooker for the most part was because she was actually like being a hooker in like the Eastern Europe. She was like undercover, so that's kind of why she looked like that. But yeah, dude, the light bombs were freaking super OP. They need to like explain that. Like, how did this guy even get like? How did they even stop him before? No, I liked Starfire. Her new look is better. The one thing that still bothers me about Starfire. Wow, my mouth's going really dry. I'm talking way too much here. She's not flirty enough for me. Starfire's supposed to be flirty and a big flirt. Her first thing that she does when she comes down to Earth is she like kisses Dick Grayson and is like super flirty with him. She's not flirty. I want to see more of a flirty Starfire. They made her into a more serious cop Starfire. And it looks like she's getting her own subplot, so that should be fun. Because I'm blanking on her race right now. Came and kidnapped her. So there's a kind of a subplot going on there. And then it looks like they're doing I just knew what they're doing, this villain group that's like headed up by Dr. Light, because they introduced us to Shimmer. And she's got a pretty good Aussie accent. So I like that. I want to see more. I can't wait to see more of her and see how she teams up with Dr. Light. And I'm really looking for more Deathstroke because the one highlight in episode 1 was, yeah, there you go, Tamrian. The one highlight in episode 1 was Isai Morales' look as Deathstroke, and I really like that. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of him and seeing what he's capable of. And so I definitely enjoyed episode 2. Fearsome 5, yeah, there you go, Fearsome 5. But yeah, episode 2 was much more, was way better than the first episode. And I think there's a lot of promise. And I'm actually looking forward to the rest of the season.
Man, you just
there was
pick up Titans, Jesus.
The first episode was horrible, though. It was one of the worst shows of television I've ever seen. It was really, really bad. But the second season the second episode felt like a first episode, what it should have been. They should have wrapped up what they needed to wrap up in the end of the first season, and then the second episode should have been the first episode of the second season. So that's just poor episode management, which probably has something to do with executives doing crazy crap that who knows what they're doing, messing things up.
Ooh, okay, new idea. Leave executives out of the decisions for movies and TV shows.
I mean, yeah, I think that's a pretty good idea. I do think that they need to be left out of narrative decisions. And they should stick with like financial decisions and making sure things are on budget and they are not going over budget and stuff like that. But narrative decisions, stay away.
There's a quote that there's an old quote that goes with that from Halo that Keith David, when he's playing the Arbiter, he says "Were it so easy," and that's exactly what you can apply to that one. That'll never happen.
Yeah, but yeah, I hope that gives you a little bit of what I thought about Titan season 2 there, Mark. I'm gonna try and get with Gary. I messaged him. I messaged him earlier today. See what's going on, and I'm gonna keep following up. I know he's a busy guy, so I just gotta keep hammering that so we can try and get our episode 3 going this Friday. I know we're trying to do Fridays at 2 p.m. Eastern, but it just hasn't been able to work out the first 2 weeks. But that's what we do. So yeah, once again, thanks everyone for joining us and watching the show tonight. We really appreciate it. Like I said, new articles up every day. Drew's working on a really awesome Twitch story. Don is our kind of resident MCU expert. I think you're working on an MCU story that I totally forgot.
Yeah, I got a few cans of Red Bull so I can get through that. So
I'm
Eternals post like potential X-Men entering MCU story.
Yeah, at the post credit for Eternals.
Yeah, I like to consider myself our staff game journalist and BSG expert.
Yeah, you'll be what's that new Star Wars game that's coming out? You're going to be looking into that too. The
what's that new gambling game that's coming out?
Oh God!
NBA 2K20.
No, it's Modern Warfare. Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Loot boxes,
dude. I think some serious business is going to come out of that stuff with the loot boxes, man. There's going to be some legislation that happens.
No, it's already happening. It's going to happen in the EU for sure. I'm not sure if it's going to happen here, though.
I don't know, John. I mean, I'm thinking eventually it will, because it really gets to kids, and they are seriously not happy about what the game industry is doing with kids in that regard. So
yeah,
I know Peggy over in Europe is really unhappy, or at least like they're willing to comment on it.
Yeah.
But the ESRB, from what I understand, has been really silent, and it's frustrating a lot of people.
I've had a couple people that I play Madden with because Don, because maybe you play sports games, so you know what I'm talking about. I play Madden Ultimate Team. I got a couple buddies I play with, and they practically begged me. They said, "Dude, please do a story and call EA out on their BS." And especially after they just came out with the promo they came out with for the kickoff of the season, the ultimate kickoff promo, where they have these like really like jacked up like ultimate team cards. Like you get 91 Khalil Mack. You need 120 of these little collectibles, right? Well, they give you a certain amount that you can get by playing just a regular game. You can play some challenges, but you only get 17 of them. And then they have a little limited time live event where you can get 20 more of them. But that's only 37. You need 120. So guess where you have to split the difference? You have to go and buy the packs. There's no other way. Yeah, exactly. And it's completely predatory. You're not giving people you're not giving your customers a fair shake. And if it's possible, I definitely do want to sit down and write one because I want to rip EA a new one. They deserve it. I mean, that type of practice is absolutely predatory at 100%.
Well, they were called out on their Battlefront, weren't they? For Star Wars?
Battlefront 2. They actually won the Guinness Book of World Records for the most downvoted Reddit comment ever.
Well, Battlefront 2 was the thing that really came out and highlighted it. They couldn't hide from that. But
they put Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. It was going to take you, what was it, like $48,000 or something like that? I don't know, maybe 4,800. It was something absurd.
4,800 hours, or like equivalent of like 2 weeks' paychecks or something like that.
Yeah, it was something absurd. In order to unlock Vader and Luke Skywalker, how many hours of gameplay or money to pay to unlock?
There's a website that like a companion website for people that play Madden Ultimate Team. Just a quick reference site that keeps track of like the auction house on the game and stuff like that. So you can look up the value of a card or something if you need to find something for your team. But the funny thing is like this some guy I guess crunched the numbers and did the math. So this Khalil Mack card I'm talking about, either the Khalil Mack or the other one is DeAndre Hopkins. If you get one or the other, it would cost you $150 cash, real money, to get the card.
That's a new console.
Yeah,
crazy, dude.
I mean, it is. That's absolutely nuts.
Yeah. All right. So
gaming is its own category of
that's not what I wanted.
Raves,
I totally hit the wrong thing there.
All right.
Drew did the story on the UK Gaming Commission Dobbin, or the committee or whatever it is. There's the link. But yeah, so we do this every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to I'll be hopefully trying to get Gary locked down for Fridays, 2 p.m. to review Titans. In November, we'll see if anyone here else has Disney Plus. We'll probably be doing something with The Mandalorian. Maybe I'll be doing that with Don. He looks excited about that. And obviously we'll definitely be hooking up with Don for the MCU shows because I know that's more in his wheelhouse than Star Wars.
I've been reading up on the Moon Knight series, so
I have I know that I have like Amazon Prime Video, so when the Expanse comes on, I definitely want to do Expanse reviews.
Yeah, I know Gary loves talking about the Expanse, so maybe we can get a three-way or not.
Ooh.
Maybe we can do something there. Yeah, I shouldn't have said that.
It's 2019, man. It's
because I really like The Expanse too, and I'm really looking forward to where they're going. But like I said, news stories up every day on the website, battlingcomics.com. And we're here on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. And I am on, we're supposed to be rotating with Gary, Nerdrotic, and our channel for Titans reviews, trying to get that unlocked. Moon Knight's going to be live action, Mark. And then that's it. Script Doctors like call it a panel. Yeah, we got to call it now. So yeah, we'll see you all back here at 9 p.m. And then we are also, yesterday we kind of just jumped on and we did a live reaction to the Birds of Prey poster. So we're doing stuff like that too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it.
Check that out.
See you guys next time.
All right. See ya.
Peace.
Later.